Fiveish Fangirls, I love you, and I'm one of the Fiveish. In fact, I'm the biggest one of the Fiveish. I am the Sixth Doctor Colin Baker, and I wish you all well. Have fun.
The tangents we continue all the way to episode 487 of Fiveish Fangirls podcasting. The only arms the Doctor keeps are the ones up his sleeve. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do with a virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Brittany Bengal.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the post-Super Bowl. Decompress.
Yeah.
Sports Bowl. Yay.
Sports Bowl. Who has a Super Bowl hangover? Not me. I didn't have a dog in this race, so...
Me neither.
Majority of my coworkers did, though. They did.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
They were happy. They were very happy this morning.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
I imagine so. I mean, 3 in a row, a 3-peat, that's asking a lot for any football team. So,
yeah. Not too many have pulled it off.
Yeah, that was a big goal that the Chiefs were trying to pull off. So I can't say that I'm really surprised that they didn't achieve it. I am surprised just how much they got their asses handed to them.
Though towards the end, it was a little looking like, Watching the chat last night, it's just like, yeah, boys, they pulled off some miracle stuff. I wouldn't be,
but
celebrating too soon. But
that's true. I mean, they did score a touchdown after the Eagles had already dumped the coach with Gatorade.
Yeah.
So, but still, the score does not give a good indication of just how lopsided last night's game
and how they got trounced. Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of the day, there were 2 very good teams. I will say that Eagles fans are, comparatively to some other franchises, are a pretty good bunch. So, you know, most of them got to go home with a crap ton of money in their bank accounts, and yeah, it's all good. That's all I can say. I don't know what it's like to play at that level, so it's all good. All good. The fatigue, it's, the yawning. I can't even blame that on staying up and watching the game, because I didn't watch a single moment of the game. I didn't watch any ads. Nada. So I am just still getting over being sick all of last week. And then I gave it to Chauncey on top of it. So it's really at this point, it's like, how can we make sure that we're just not trading it back and forth like a game of hot potato?
Right.
So yeah, working in a public school.
Yep.
Even if you aren't working directly with the students, and even if your students aren't little kids, which I know little kids are little germ factories, even if your students aren't of the younger variety, and therefore the germier variety, you can still get stuff from them.
Oh, yes, you can. Yes.
So,
Yep. Oh, yes.
I've been more sick in the time since I started this job than I have in I don't know how long.
Rachel, it will get better.
Yeah, I know my immune system has got to
Yeah.
work. It's got to work its way back up to
Right.
what it was back in the day. But right now, I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah. It does get better, but then when you have that summer vacation, trying to build immunity back up, it gets a little quicker. But still, yeah, it takes it.
Hey, Hoozle.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys may not see the post. That's why we didn't have a show last week, because my head decided that it just wanted to be full of crap. So, and still does. All right. Well, we don't have a whole lot of news. I mean, obviously, with the Super Bowl, you get a lot of ads, and those involve some trailers. However, at this point, like trailers for like the new Captain America movie, like the movie comes out next week, this week. So the movie comes out really soon. So this is at the point where I try to avoid the stuff that gets shown on TV. Personally, Thunderbolts, obviously we're a little further out, but still kind of, playing it, a little closer to maybe we shouldn't watch everything that pops up about this thing. So that being said, that and Marvel was just all like, no, we don't need to wait to the Super Bowl, although that was the rumor going around. We're just gonna go ahead and give you your first look at the new Fantastic Four, like, a week beforehand. So that's exactly what they did. They did this whole thing at one of the space hub centers, because this is America. We've got like 12 different space hubs or something like that, like places. So yeah, they did this whole thing counting down to blast off our first look at the Fantastic Four, and it was awesome. So I love this time period that it's set in. Like, even if it wasn't a Marvel movie, I would just be like, ooh, I like this time period. Because that's like my jam as far as like architecture, especially home. In a home design and interior design.
That retro, I love it.
Well, at the time it wasn't retro.
No. Right. It was modern.
Now it's retro. But that mid-century modern look, oh my god, I love that so much. I can't wait to see more of their house and like back through the building and all the stuff.
It's like this one I would love to see, like a coffee table like art book with all the design stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be something.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, what kind of merch are we gonna come with that's going to be released with this, and how trouble am I?
My mom already makes funny noises when this stuff comes up. It's going to be funnier noises.
So
I hope that's a happy squeaky instead of a sad squeaky.
Yeah. Happy sad.
Yes, happy sad, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, new Fantastic Four. I'm excited. I kind of hate that. I mean, we're not completely rehashing the story, but it seems like maybe we are getting a bit more origin-y than like with Spider-Man. Like with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, they're like, you don't need an origin story. Everybody knows Spider-Man's origin story. Everybody knows the Fantastic Four's origin story. The group of scientists, they went into outer space. Shit happened. They came back with powers.
Mm-hmm.
Bada bing, bada boom. That's how you get it. That's how you got a catalog, of superheroes back in the day. But hey, what do I know? But it is exciting to know that we're not rehashing the same bad guys either. Although we are getting Doctor Doom later, but that's okay. Yep. We're getting Doctor Doom not in a Fantastic Four movie. So I will take it. I'm excited for Galactus. Should be a good time. And then we got our first look at the latest installment in the Jurassic. Can we still? I mean, at this point, is it the Jurassic Park?
I would say
Universe,
Jurassic World,
or the Jurassic World universe, or just are we just going to call it the Jurassic universe? Is that easier?
Probably.
Somebody tell me what the rules are, because I missed.
Don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're getting a new Jurassic World movie, which is the Jurassic universe. But not nay a Chris Pratt to be found, but a Scarlett Johansson instead, which I was not expecting. So,
right?
It's just like, okay, now how many people are they going to pull from the Marvel universe?
I know.
To the Jurassic.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, this is a thing. I mean, I don't think this is what Natasha meant in Captain America, where she said she was looking for some fossils, but hey,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of that line.
Nope.
So, anyway, dinosaurs. Yay! Like, I like the Jurassic universe to a point, but it's like, how many more times can we rehash this? Like, seriously.
Right?
Like, the planet is only so big, so the dinosaurs can only get so far unless we're going to start doing, like, Friday the 13th type shit, and, like, Jason went to space. Are we going to start sending the dinosaurs to space? Type thing. I don't know. I do not know. But whatever. It's a popcorn flick. It's what it is, because people like monsters, and dinosaurs actually existed. So I guess it's one thing to be afraid of something that really doesn't exist. It's another to be potentially afraid of something that did exist at one point. Baby, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, and I don't play one on TV. So there's that. And that's about it, actually, for news. Like I said, a lot of the Super Bowl stuff was either just, TV spots for stuff that we already knew was coming, or it's stuff that I'm like, oh, that's a thing that's coming out. Okay. Why not? So, feedback that we do have from Shalane. She's got a number of comments and questions for us. So, she says, wonder if Wicked Part 2, aka Wicked for Good, will get nominated for the same categories as Part 1 at the Oscars next year. That will be interesting to see if it matches or not. We'll have to wait. Talking about what if, my favorite episode was Howard and Darcy getting married. Their anthem, I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss. I also really liked Agatha in Hollywood. Hoping to see if they will really release some what if Funko Pops. I'm sure it's only a matter of time. Because I'm sure there's a market for Funko of Darcy and Howard with their egg. Mm-hmm. Would love to see more cosplay of Cowboy Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop, Howard and Darcy. Captain Carter and her team. So far, Captain Carter is the most popular What If cosplay, but I haven't seen much of Black Panther, Star-Lord, or Vegas Thor. I think because Captain Carter had been established, I think, more so, and was a bit more mainstream well before the animated series came out. Like, I don't remember exactly when the idea of Captain Carter was announced, but for some reason I vaguely remember like people going, "Whoa!" So, or something like that. I don't know. Don't listen to me. I've been trying. My brain is all stuffy. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Plus, Captain Carter is just really cool. It's just a cool cosplay. I mean, people just really dig the shield in general. So, other what if stories I'd love to see continued: Hela and the Ten Rings, Tony Stark and Gamora, the new Avengers after Hank killed some of the OG Avengers, Thor being an only child. Oh, Thor being an only child. That's yeah. Oh my. Memoirs I've read from famous actors and singers: Barbra Streisand, Britney Spears, Ralph Macchio, Matthew Perry, obviously before his passing, Jeanette McCurdy, Jodie Benson, and Ashley Eckstein. Next on my list, Cher's memoir. She's another celebrity who definitely deserves a biopic. Yes, definitely. Since Britney Spears' memoir is getting adapted into a movie, I wonder if Barbra Streisand's will too. I'll be patient on that because I'm a big Streisand fan. Maybe not necessarily her memoir, because not every celebrity biopic is necessarily based on a book, whether it's their book or somebody written by someone. Just the fact that we have not gotten a Streisand like biopic though is interesting. But hey, you know, I don't get to make these plans. I don't get consulted. So, you know, it is what it is. But yes, definitely Streisand, definitely Cher. I would love to see a Cher biopic. Like the soundtrack to that would be amazing. Let's see. Still waiting for a Cher biopic. Not sure if Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died will be adapted, but since it's a bestseller, maybe it's just a matter of time. Maybe not necessarily. I could maybe see, because I've read Jeanette's book, and it's raw. She doesn't pull any punches over the shit that she went through at way too young an age. I could almost see her book maybe being turned into like a play, maybe something on the stage, like a one-person show or something, or like a, you know what I'm saying? I can't think of a good example of something like that, but yeah, I don't necessarily see it being movie material unless maybe it was like a Lifetime movie, which they've done that with some other things which kind of suck. So, but I could maybe see it like as a stage play, something or other, I think. So, celebrities who already have both a biopic and a TV show based on their lives: Selena, the biopic Selena, and then later adapted into a Netflix series, and Michael Jackson with his biopic coming out later this year. Upcoming biopics I've heard about: Bruce Lee, The Beatles, and Queen Latifah. Yes, I said actually, Shalay, I'll if I remember, I'll put it in the show notes. I sent her a link to a video talking about upcoming biopics.
Nice.
So I'll try to remember to put that in the show notes.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Other people can see it. So, because there were several of those where I'm like, oh, so that's a thing. Okay. Famous people. I'm still waiting to see a biopic. She gives us a number of them. Including what she's already mentioned, like Streisand, Cher, Madonna, Lady Gaga, Shania Twain, Aaliyah, the boy bands. Although the boy bands have at least like the Backstreet Boys, not so much New Kids because they were slightly before that, but like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, not necessarily biopics, but they're, as far as the band is concerned and where they started, has been touched upon in several like documentaries because of the guy who turned out to be a real piece of shit for a number of reasons. So, that necessarily needs to be rehashed, but that, again, that's my humble opinion. And then people like Patrick Swayze, Audrey Hepburn, Tina Turner, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. Maybe I'm gonna an Audrey Hepburn biopic. That's interesting too. Creators and Broadway legends, people like Stan Lee, Stephen Sondheim, and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Some famous people who already gotten biopics: Marilyn Monroe and Lucille Ball. Who do you girls think deserves a biopic? Is how she ends with a question. So,
yikes.
That is a. Well, I definitely agree with some of those. I think Cher would be amazing, especially if it was a musical. The soundtrack to that would be golden. Of course, I'm a little biased. And supposedly it's been in like development hell for ages, but supposedly someone somewhere is supposed to be working on a biopic for Gene Kelly.
Ooh, cool.
Also, supposedly, there's also supposed to be one for Fred Astaire, who would have been his contemporary. I've heard rumors of Tom Holland being tied to both at different times.
I could see it for both, yeah. After some of the dance moves he pulled off in the lip sync battle.
That, yes. Well, that is definitely true.
Every time I see that, it's like, I don't care how many times I've shared it, I'm sharing it again.
Yes. Right? And every time it comes up, you're like, do I need to watch this for 5 minutes? Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Every single time. So, yeah, I would love to see Gene Kelly. You know, I think the Beatles, I think there's already been so much done with the Beatles as a band. Maybe them individually?
That wouldn't be bad.
I think if someone wanted to take that on and do like 4 individual ones and then sell it as like a mega 4-pack.
Yeah. The Beatles saga.
Yes.
With each member.
Yeah, because because each of them, we've done our own, like, very shallow surface level, but still, because there's a lot to cover.
Shallow dives.
Yeah, we have done our own shallow-ish dives of each of the Beatles individually. So, there's that. I would say I also would like to see, because if you're talking true bio, where you're diving into like most of a person's life. Although not all biopics cover from birth to up to either when the movie was made or they died, depending on who the person is. But yeah, as much as I love Bohemian Rhapsody, I still think we should probably get a proper Freddie Mercury bio movie.
That's exactly. I mean, other ones that I'm kind of thinking of, maybe Billy Joel, Neil Diamond, Jimmy Buffett, bands, Leonard Skinner. That would be interesting. Bon Jovi.
Ooh.
I mean, that one's got it. People are probably giving me a huh. But I mean, you could go up and end it to the point when Richie decides to leave the band as a closing. I mean, those are just ones that are coming to mind. Springsteen. Well, wait a minute. That one's
no, we are getting a Springsteen one. That's the thing.
Now that I take that back,
yes,
it's in
we
progress.
are getting a Springsteen one. That's this one that I did not know was a thing that was coming until I watched that video that I shared with Elaine. So
yeah.
My first thought was, I wonder if our good Uber Springsteen fan Jesse knows about this. And then I was like, what am I talking about? Of course Jesse knows about this. He's probably known about it since almost the directors probably knew about it. So he probably knew about it before they cast anybody in it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that I look up to, like knowing about their story, I've seen enough, either documentaries or interviews with them to be like, I don't know if there's really anything there that I didn't already know.
And it sounds like the Prince one may or may not be a go, depending on what day of the week it is.
Yeah, they seem to be very
back and forth,
temperamental.
Yeah,
when it comes to
versus
using
Netflix
his image for things.
Yeah, which I don't blame them.
Yeah, because they wanted to. Speaking of the Super Bowl, in big sporting events, they wanted, after the purple one had passed, they wanted to have a hologram of him performing alongside Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
And his estate was like, absolutely not. So the next best thing they got was some video footage. Something that already existed. Because the whole idea of bringing back some celebrities as holograms has always been very just like, some people love the idea of it, some people hate it, some are indifferent, depends on who it is, whether it's somebody they really care about or not. Because it has been done a few times. It's been done with Whitney Houston, apparently. It's been done with Tupac. So, among others. But yeah. But at the same time, I'd heard that story, and then I also heard something else recently about the Prince estate, and they were like all for whatever it was, and I can't think of what it is now. And I was like, okay, y'all are just back and forth, hot and cold on what, like, are you locking down his image or not?
Right. It's like, pick a lane and choose, please.
With it, knowing Prince, stick in the lane where nobody uses his image to make any money.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a huge Prince fan, but I know enough about him to know that he was the one artist to continually turn down Weird Al to do a parody. So, we'll have to, I guess, wait and see. Because, like I said, it wasn't until I watched that movie, that YouTube video, I was like, oh, that's a thing. Oh, that's a thing. Oh, that's a thing. So Hollywood is really good about like having stuff actually be in production before I'm aware of it. So it was because I'm too busy just, listening to Taylor Swift for the 5 bazillionth time. And watching the same YouTube videos over and over and over. I like my bubble and I want to stay here. So anyway, thank you, Shalane, for your questions and comments. You definitely got the gerbil that runs in my brain is doing a light jog because that's all it's capable of right now. But I appreciate the kick in its little pants for the time being. Oh my. I can't even blame this on cold medicine. This is just how I am running right now. I am delusional with this head cold. So anyway, moving on to this week's main topic. Because
just a second, we need to do book club.
Oh, book club. Sorry about that.
Nope, that's okay. Okay, we were off last week. So this month's book is Ruby Red, and then March's book is Doctor in Wonderland.
Ooh.
Yes.
Woo. Well, speaking of your Doctor Who.
Yes. So
how's that for a
nice
segue?
the perfect segue. Exactly.
Go me! Segues!
Yes.
Speaking of Doctor Who, in case you didn't know, it's my birthday next week. We're starting next Tuesday for the next 365 days. I will be the answer to the life and universe and everything. Or just 21 doubles.
Yep.
So, which I ever went so, especially when we were in Vegas. And I'd be like, does this mean when I drink I get twice of everything? Because I'll be 21 twice, essentially. And everybody's like, yeah, that tracks. I'm like, sweet. So, apparently I'm going to be doubling everything. No. So, yes. Birthday in these parts means Big Finish! For those that may be new, hi, Big Finish Audio. You could go listen to our episode all about Big Finish 101. Which, funnily enough, we did that way after we'd started doing the Big Finish, birthday thing. But anyway, if you happen to be new, whenever it's getting close to one of our birthdays, we get to dive into the Big Finish Doctor Who and related catalog, of which there is a lot. And we pluck out a Big Finish audio for us to listen to and talk about. That is our very own, because we picked it. And by, I'm sure, nobody's surprise whatsoever, I picked a 6th Doctor audio.
Calcitry.
Yes, cue the Iago clip. So, this is from the main line. This is early Big Finish, though.
Yes.
This is number 11 in the monthly adventures. So it is Doctor Who, the Apocalypse Element.
With Evelyn.
Yes, with one of my favorite combinations, the 6th Doctor and Evelyn.
Yes.
Along with Lalla Ward.
Yes.
Returning as Romana.
Uh-huh.
Even after all these years, I still cannot pronounce her full name properly, so she's Romana.
Yeah, Romana Virtulenda or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Felt like I've been a Doctor Who fan for over a decade, and I still can't pronounce that. So
it's about as bad as trying to pronounce Raxo.
Exactly.
I used to be able to do it.
I know.
Raxacoricobalbatorius or something like
yes.
that. The Slovene homeworld.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So, this is, I will give the synopsis, official synopsis from Big Finish. When the planet Architrix, goodness, I can't talk. I'm so stuffy. When the planet Architrix is threatened by a Dalek assault squad, the Doctor and Evelyn become embroiled in an ever-deepening mystery. What has become of President Romana, missing for 20 years? What lurks in the vast gravity wells of Architrix? What is the secret of the ancient element the Daleks are synthesizing? And how does Gallifrey feature in the plans? The Doctor finds that if his oldest enemies conquer the universe, they will watch it go up in flames. Dun dun dun! So yes, this is pretty quick to, this is like Doctor Who, like at its core. You got the Doctor, you've got the Time Lords. We're on part of it takes place on Gallifrey. You've got Daleks. This is essentially a precursor to the Time War.
Mm-hmm.
Is what this is. Which, this was, like I said, this is early Big Finish, so this came out August of 2000.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they had done the TV movie, hoping to maybe use it as a quasi backdoor pilot. That did not work. Although this does give us a bit of continuity as far as the eye. We'll get to that. And Doctor Who is still 5 years away from coming back to television. They hadn't, there was no Doctor Who anywhere for anybody. No new Who. Listening to this way after the fact, after Doctor Who come back to TV, after the 50th anniversary special, which finally gives us more of the Time War. Listening to this now, knowing what happens with the Time War, it's like, even in this, of course the Doctor can't stand the Daleks. Romana can't stand the Daleks. Romana's had her own run-ins with the Daleks. Of course, in this also, she's been held prisoner by them for 20 years. But even before that, she knew what Daleks were. Yep. And it had her run-ins with them. This is Evelyn's introduction to Daleks. But Evelyn being Evelyn, she's just like, oh, they're nasty. Uh-huh. How do we stop them? It's like Evelyn in the Doctor Who universe, she is the Phil Coulson.
Yes.
Of the Doctor Who universe, just with more cardigans.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Like, she is so, like, unflappable. They introduce her to something dangerous or just interesting that she's never seen before, and she's all like, oh, okay. Daleks. She's like, oh, well, these are obviously bad. We must stop them. Mm-hmm. They crash land this supposedly like political gathering of dignitaries from various places, so it's all sorts of alien life forms, at least as far as Evelyn is concerned, and from these different planets. And at one point she's like, oh, you're an interesting color. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, Maggie, it's a shame she's no longer with us to keep Evelyn going. So Evelyn is just, she's like, she jumps in and does the work. At one point they need to override all of because most of the doors in Gallifrey apparently are locked using retina scans. Mm-hmm. And the system has just like thousands of retinas in its system, so depending on who you are, where you're going, you may or may not get let in. Like, you can get into your own house with yours, maybe not the high command center, unless that's also someplace you're supposed to be, but still. they realize that they need to override all of the retina scans, and they use Evelyn's, and she's all like, she's making eyeball jokes and puns. I mean, these are dad jokes.
Yeah.
So, I just love Evelyn. I really do.
Yeah.
So this is as far as timeline goes, continuity wise, this takes place between the Trial of Time Lord and Time of the Rani, obviously. And right after the Spectre of Lanyon Moore, which is another personal favorite of mine because it's Colin Baker's Doctor in the Brig. And we've done a review of that, so if you've not listened to that, you should go listen to that too. And even Russell T Davies, in 2006 in the Doctor Who Annual, references the incident in this, the Eater Prime incident, and it is he considers it one of the inciting incidents of the last Great Time War. So there you go. Of course, Romana, while missing for 20 years, before she went missing, she was president of the High Council of Time Lords. And she presumably takes over that role again once the dust settles. So, in fact, Romana would remain president up until, I don't think I can necessarily say exactly when, but she's president almost right up until the Time War starts, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and the way this, I've been trying to keep track of it with the Gallifrey audios, and that there's been so much wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, it's hard to keep track with the Time War canon. What's
Yeah,
which area is which?
well, the Time War, we really should do an episode just on the Time War. I mean, the Time War lasted for so long that it's because eventually it causes so much chaos, and we see that in a couple different aspects of Doctor Who mediums. That when David Tennant was Doctor, we see the return of Rassilon, and he has his own ideas of how things should go. We see in Day of the Doctor that they've got like a council of like military strategists. We learn in this that while the Doctor is a bit of I don't want to say a pacifist, but someone who does not like to use weapons. Things that go pew 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 when you pull triggers. That just the Time Lords in general are not the brightest when it comes to battle and military strategy. In fact, they are very inept in that area. And I think this is like Russell T Davies said, this is kind of the inciting incident for the Great Time War. So by the time we come back to Gallifrey in Day of the Doctor, they do have like battle TARDISes and people doing military and battle strategy. Because in this, the Daleks do end up setting not foot, because the Daleks don't have feet, but the Daleks do set metaphorical foot on Gallifrey. And that just goes to show the Time Lords and their oh so high and mighty nose up in the air to the rest of the universe attitude, that they are not completely safe in what they think is their bubble. So it takes them down a couple of pegs, I think. I mean, as much as you can with the Council of Time Lords, because they're all just, for the most part, they're a bunch of dicks. Romana being an exception. So, that being said, we have a couple of non-Gallifreyan characters that were part of this conference thing. Most everybody dies, but a few survive and get to go be temporary companions to the Doctor. Like Trinket, who I don't know if this was on purpose. That Karen Henson, I guess Henson, just like Jim Henson, spelled the same way, so I'm presuming it's pronounced the same way. Karen Henson, who is the voice of Trinket, sounds a lot like a certain baseball wielding Nitro 9 throwing companion. And it was throwing me off. Because I'm like, that's not Sophie. That's not Sophie. That's not Sophie. It sounds like Sophie. That's not Sophie.
Yeah. No. Base? No. Trinket.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Don't feel bad. I had to catch myself a couple of times. Like, oh, no, that's not Sophie. That's somebody else.
Nope, that's not Sophie. That's not Sophie.
Sophie.
Hashtag that's not Sophie. My guess is that Henson here is probably from a similar area that Sophie is from. Hence the similar accent would be my guess. And of course you've got Nicholas Briggs doing the Daleks as he does.
Yeah.
Nothing really new there. Yeah, I mean this is I mean it's not, I'm sure at the time when this was released that the idea of the Daleks breaching, everything Gallifrey and the Time Lords have available to them as far as keeping themselves supposedly impenetrable on their planet. The idea of the Daleks setting proverbial foot on Gallifrey to fans, I'm sure was just like how is it? Because the Time War was not a thing yet. As far as the fans were concerned.
I mean, basically, it's like their version of the Clone Wars and Star Wars.
A little bit. So, this is one of those, like I said, listening to it so far after the fact. In year 2000, I was still in high school. So,
I wasn't in high school yet.
yeah. Like, one, I was in high school. I was interested in much more important things, like the Backstreet Boys. Not that Doctor Who would have had much of a grab for new audiences then anyway, because there wasn't any. Big Finish was made really for the fans that wanted the stories to keep going after the show ended. So obviously, I would not have listened to this when it was new. But it is interesting listening to some of these audios, seeing the ideas that they were coming up with, knowing that some of these are going to germinate into something much bigger than they probably ever could have imagined at the time.
Right.
Yeah. If Russell T Davies had not heard this, would the Time War have been as big a thing? Maybe not. We don't know. That's a what if. Yeah. Now we need Doctor Who. What if?
Yes. Ooh.
Actually,
Well, isn't
we do kind of have that. There
Unbound?
are some alternative stories within Big Finish that are concerned with some alternative versions of like the Doctor and stuff. So
yeah, Unbound, and then they're kind of doing a dark Gallifrey where they pick certain characters and then kind of offshoot a little bit.
Yeah, but as a fan, it's fun to see where ideas possibly could have come from that to now, for us now, we're like, oh, well, duh, you know. Of course, we also had the return of Romana, who had not been seen since whatever the last E-Space story was that I'm completely blanking on the name. I don't remember. It's too much to remember. Warrior's Gate. There we go. That was Lala's final regular appearance as Romana. Look at me, Googling. Not that fast. Excuse me. So yeah, this to have Lala come back. And you know, if you go and continue to listen to you know, Big Finish with Romana, you will find that there are repercussions.
Yes.
It's not like she's suddenly back and so, you know, suddenly she's president again and everything's just all hunky dory. Like she was held captive by the Daleks for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. There'd be some consequences.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we see in this that Romana is extremely powerful psychically, psychologically, you know, as far as her mental abilities are concerned. But again, that's doesn't mean that she walked away from this being like, okay, give me my robes, let's go.
Right. Yeah.
When Romana and the Doctor reunite, you usually have to tell her that he's the Doctor. She knew immediately. Probably based on the outfit. Like a different face.
Right.
In fact, she missed a face in there. So she saw was Tom's. But but the fact that she's like, oh, Doctor, you got a new face. Yeah. She didn't mention his clothes. Probably just because she's like, typical.
Well, and Mariah really can't throw stones because there was one time when she burned through how many regenerations with Fourth Doctor, and he pitched a little bit of a fit.
That is true. That is true. Bickering like the old married couple they were. Yeah, for those who don't know. Didn't last, but they were for a while.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, this is just, it's, again, you know, it being Big Finish, early Big Finish, you know, they don't know necessarily you know, where they're going to go with this, so they're giving us a few cliffhangers that, of course, hindsight being what it is, you're like, yeah, no, the Doctor's fine. Evelyn's fine.
Yep.
They're fine. But at the time, you couldn't have known, possibly. No. We need to find someone who's got a really good memory. That started listening to Big Finish when it first started. And could tell us what it was like to hear these for the first time, not knowing
what was going to happen.
Like as far as continuity and all that fun stuff. So if anybody out there, yourself or know somebody that can talk about the experience of what it was like to listen to Big Finish, specifically the Doctor Who stuff, when it was brand new, please send us
Let
a
us
message.
know. Yes.
But it's a Sixth Doctor story, so not gonna hurt my feelings any. Even with some of the cliffhangers. So and there's not really a whole lot of like trivia or anything. It was so fresh. I don't think that they were necessarily have a whole lot to do. Well, I mean, they do, but I don't know. A word's hard.
Yeah.
Like they're still finding their legs here, so
Mm-hmm.
this is fairly straightforward for the most part. So it's still a good one. Obviously, when you got Daleks, you've got some Dalek sass. I like how this is as single-minded as the Daleks generally are. We are supreme. Everyone else will be exterminated. Glory to the Daleks. Blah 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 blah.
Blah blah.
Occasionally, you will get that one Dalek that shows just a little bit of personality, whether it means to or not.
Yep.
Because at one point, they come across one of those doors that's locked, and you need to do a retinal scan to open it.
Yes.
And of course, the Daleks, well, they have the eye stalks, don't have eyes. And even if they did, they would not open said door. And so it's like $2, and the $1 is like, we need an eyeball. Look, that guy over there. Some poor gal. It's some poor soldier, guard, whatever. That's like, sprawled out on the ground. I'm sure bleeding all over the place. And the other Dalek is like, well, he's not complete. Or the one Dalek is like, he's not completely dead yet. Cue the song from Spamalot. I'm not dead yet.
Yeah.
And then the other Dalek is like, but his legs are broken. And then the first Dalek is like, that doesn't matter. Take his eyeball.
We have need.
Yeah. The Dalek's like, but his legs are broken. Like, you don't need his legs. You need his eyeball.
Right. It doesn't matter if his legs are functioning or not. We need a functioning eyeball. And as right now, he's got one.
Exactly. Oh, but I thought that whole exchange was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of trivia or anything. So
no,
other than just where it fits and like as far as the timeline stuff.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see the Celestial Time Agency again. Like, oh yeah, you guys back again, are we?
Yeah. This is technically part of
the Dalek Empire
plot, like a mini plot storyline called the Dalek Empire. This is the second in that arc. This started with the Genocide Machine, which is the 7th Doctor. And then after this comes Mutant Phase, which is the 5th Doctor, includes with the Time of the Daleks, which is an 8th Doctor. But yeah, that's part of the bigger Dalek Empire series. Series, not Siri. I'm not talking to you. My phone suddenly lights up. Oh, goodness.
Like, no, I did not need you.
Nope. So, yeah. Not a whole lot there. So, if you want more of Romana, because she, there are some Big Finish audios, with her in them before she gets taken hostage for 20 years. So audios like Neverland and Zagreus, which again, Zagreus,
it's a long one, but it's good. But it also ties in, I think, with a couple others, if memory serves.
Yeah, that
correct.
is not for beginners.
No, it's not.
That
Yeah,
is like advanced.
Yeah, let's just
because-
say I made the mistake of kind of listening to those early on. And this is like, good boy.
Yeah.
I've gone back and re-listened to them and appreciate them a lot better than when I first did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Every now and then I'm like, should we do Zagreus? And then I'm like, no, we're not ready.
No, not yet. I mean that's like Jedi Knight level.
Yeah.
Or master level.
Yeah. So, of course, the Gallifrey series, the Chaos Pool takes place just after she's returned from East Space, but before she becomes president. So there are those if you want a bit more Ramana. This is not necessarily one I would jump to, if I'm like, I'm in the mood for some Big Finish, but it's a good one, especially like if you're wanting to start dipping your toe into like the idea of the time war, because obviously, while the TV series has touched upon it, way more of it. There's way more of it in Big Finish, both with Paul McGann, Doctor, and the handful that we got with Sir John Hurt before he passed as the War Doctor. So, and there's some others, like there's the War Master as well. So, but this gives the idea of a bigger battle between the Time Lords and the Daleks is potentially a thing that could happen in the future. So, any other thoughts?
Nope.
Comments?
Just a good pick, Rachel. It's been a while since I've listened to this one, and it was nice spending some time with Six and Evelyn again.
I just love those two together.
Yeah.
It's a shame that Maggie's no longer with us, so she can do more. But
I
thankfully, there's still a lot of Six and Evelyn for us to cover. So.
Yes, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
If any of our listeners want to talk about the apocalypse elements, of course, the Daleks being Daleks, that's immediately where they're gonna go. Like, just burn it to the ground. If the Daleks can't be supreme, we don't want to. We don't want it. Get rid of it. Oh, the Daleks! You have one setting, and that is destruction. They are cats that have decided to go ape shit at 3 a.m. Is what they are.
Yep. You tell them don't, they do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you want to give your input on this Big Finish audio or any others, or maybe you have suggestions for others that may want to put on our radar, because there's a lot.
There is.
I mean, even when I'm like, oh yes, it's Rachel's birthday, of course it's going to be Sixth Doctor. It's still hard to narrow it down.
Well, I know which Sixth Doctor one you're not going to pick for quite some time to come.
Well, yes, there is definitely one that's going to go. Nonetheless, we will do Zagreus before we do that one.
Kind of figured we would.
That tells you something right there. But still, that still leaves a lot. And that's just Colin Baker by himself. That doesn't count the Sixth Doctor with other doctors.
Right. And that does not count Six and Jack Harkness either.
Yeah.
Because they have crossed paths.
So we've got the Doctor with various combinations that we have not, like we've done the Doctor and Evelyn, and we've done the Doctor and Perry.
Yes.
Which obviously this Doctor and Perry are the most obvious pairing, but there are others. So yeah. But anyway, you can send us feedback just like Shalay did. You can email us fiveshangirls@gmail.com, where you can find links to all of our podcast related social media accounts and our individual personal ones as well. There's also links to things like things like the book club, where every month we discuss obviously discuss a either Big Fish audio or a Doctor Who related book. Goodness, I need sleep. I've got 2 speeds right now. It is discombobulated or asleep. So there's that link to the book club. There's also links to some of our tangentially related podcasts, things like Gold Standard, Traveling the Vortex, other shows that we've made guest appearances on, that sort of thing. If you wish to financially support us, you can also do that as well from our website, which is theFiveish.com. Again, where you can become a regular supporter on Patreon, which we always have to say a big thank you to all of our regular. I mean, we want to say thank you to anybody who gives us their hard-earned money, but especially the ones that do it month after month. We really appreciate it, especially at the beginning of the year when things like website domain owning things need to be paid for the following year. So we appreciate that very much. So yeah, Patreon, you can buy merch if you want to do that, and yeah, we just really appreciate everybody's support however we get it from you. And I would say that I can't believe I'm turning 42 next week, but actually since I turned 40, which I didn't really freak out like some people do. Like, I freaked out when we're turning 30 than I did 40.
I was kind of but then after 40, it's just like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, whatever. I'm turning 42. Whatever. It's like all of the birthdays since 40 going forward. I'm like, whatever. It's more so the fact that in a few years my younger brother will be turning 40 is what's freaking me out. So it's like, I know how old I am, but how am I old enough for him to be that old? Like, I know the math is mathin', but it's like mentally it's not mathin'. But anyway, existential crises aside, stay careful out there. I know winter is holding on with all of her might in certain places. We're supposed to get white stuff later this week, supposedly. The pond outside has frozen over again. It is cold. Spring is not here yet. So wherever you are, weather can be wild and sometimes dangerous. So be careful. Stay warm where you are. If where you are is cold. If you have to be in the southern hemisphere and it's still warm, good for you. I'm jealous. I will be for a couple more months. Oh my, and I desperately need some sleep and some more cold medicine. So with that, we are going to sign off for this week. Or I say something I regret.
This is Brittany and Bagel saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Complacency, the middle name of most Time Lords. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, the5ishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @5ishfangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.